Hi, I'm Noelle with today's Brew, where top producing real estate agents share their tips on taking more listings, making more money, and having fun doing it. On today's episode, we welcome Gloria Hobson from Atlanta, Georgia. Hi, Gloria.
Hi, Noelle. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing? Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. I truly owe my business and everything to you guys. And yeah, so.
Well, we're here for it. We love it. We love hearing that. I love the
Mhm.
success stories. It's wonderful, and it gives a lot of hope to newer agents or even agents that
Absolutely.
are
Well,
burnt out.
honestly, interview aside, it really is going to give hope because we've all been there, right? We've all been there, where you're literally up against the wall to say, do I need to change a whole different career? Like, what do I need to do, right? Real estate is not for me. So the lifeline of real estate is because I found you guys and have access to the leads, and from there the business.
So, were you hesitant to sign up for us at first? Did it take some talking into, or did you have a coach, or did you say, you know what, I'm going to give it an all go and see how it works out?
Well, that's a great question because honestly, when I started my brokerage, they recommended some other dialers. But when I went and I searched for those dialers, they were very, very pricey, and I just could not afford them. But in the search, your URL came up, and I clicked into you guys. And when I compared and contrasted what they offered and what you guys offered, I mean, I felt like I was getting more for much less, and it was a trial that you all were running at the time, and so it gave me the perfect opportunity to try it out and just see if it's going to work or not. I did that and have never looked back.
Been faithful to us since then.
Yes, I've been hook, line, and just sinker since then.
Oh, that's great. Well, I
Yes.
want to hear all about you, and I know the viewers are going to want to hear about you as well. When did you start real estate?
So I started in 2019 as just out of the water, just brand new agent. So I am an ex-police officer, and I worked child abuse for the state of Florida for 7 years, and I loved it. Had a new baby myself, and really it was a burnout. And so I was like, I gotta find something. So my husband ended up with a transfer to Atlanta, and just being in the city and driving around the city, it was just so many new developments and new construction, and it was just a great thriving city. And the light bulb came on and said real estate. And so I
Wow.
self-trained myself. I just started YouTubing everything, every coach, every video that I could find on YouTube for a year. And then I eventually took the class and got licensed, and it's been just forward moving since then.
That's fantastic. Did you find it difficult at all to move to real estate?
No, I did not, but I thought I would because those jobs are public service, right? You are really feel so proud in what you do when you work with the public, when you help somebody in, any type of law enforcement type situation, whether it be domestic violence, whether it be sex abuse, whatever it may be that we're called to the scene for, it's so rewarding. Likewise, child abuse, oh my goodness, I was so like just obsessed and addicted to it because each case was a child per se. So I couldn't just quit because I would be quitting on kids that trusted me, and and the fact that we were able to help them out of bad situations. But when I went to real estate and I started selling and I started having conversations with sellers, I realized that they had pain points too. They had motivating factors to sell. And I found a reward in selling their homes successfully, quickly, and for more money. And everybody was happy. The
So you're
buyers,
still
we treat them
helping.
like VIP, and they just love it.
Yeah, so you're still helping people out, which is
Still helping people out, and
very
I love
important
it.
to you. Let's talk about prospecting. Do you prospect?
Absolutely.
So you don't just sit around and wait for the phone to ring and
Absolutely not. And that's why I am so happy to talk about Espresso Agent because it's such a user friendly platform that you guys have that I'm able to export those leads out, those sellers. The emails are just so accurate. So I prospect using that source of the information from the sellers that I get from you guys. So I prospect all the time. I call, I use the dialer, I call, and I get the sellers, right? What I find is that you get them for sure, but they love to have a long conversation about their home, you know. So I'm like, well, I need to make 100 calls today. I can't chat with you, right? So I have to find a way to get off the phone with them. But those numbers are very, very accurate, and it's so many per household. So I get the peace of mind to know I have mobile numbers, landline numbers, all the numbers of everybody that's tied to that house, and I always reach my sellers that way. Thank
when you
you.
say you want to make 100 calls a day, but we don't have all day to do that because you do have listing appointments to go on
Yes.
in the afternoon. How do you stay control of the conversation? Do you use scripts? Do you role play with other agents? What do you do to stay focused on getting the appointment?
Well, I do something similar to scripts. I call it I don't necessarily call it scripting. It's more of a talk track, if you will, where it's a conversation, but it exhausts everything that you can anticipate that's going to come up in a home, interview. So I don't really script. I do talk tracks that come across much more natural and much more relatable, and you're much more connected with the sellers. But I definitely use something very similar to scripts. It's just not scripting, but as effective.
Something that makes you feel a little more personable.
Yes, yes, and not that you memorize the scripts, but it follows that same track, but it's less prescribed. It's a natural flow, a natural conversation.
Okay. All right. So that being said, how many listing appointments do you tend to get in a day when you make your calls?
Well, I get them more on a weekly basis, so I've had as many as 5, 6 appointments in a week. Okay,
Wow. Wow.
and yes, like when we were the market that we just came out of, I mean, I was very busy. I was very busy, and a lot of sellers were raising their hands to say, "Hey, I want to sell. I want to, cash in on this market, get my equity out my home." And so I had a lot of appointments, but they came from my use of your numbers.
Okay.
Like,
So would that be your favorite source, you'd say, is when you would get our numbers, would they be circle prospecting or expired? So what's your favorite
oh
source?
yes, expires and for sale by owners. I love for sale by owners because I show them how using my method or what have you is going to basically not cost them any commission. And I know everybody say that, but it's true because I'm going to sell it for more. And at the end of the day, your net amount is going to be what you would have netted paying commission using, a different realtor, if you will. But so I love to use expires. I love to use the for sale by owners and the circle prospects, certainly, because when I do have a home sale, which is equivalent to an open house, if you will, but it's more of a RSVP. But at the end of the day, I circle prospect again the neighborhood, and those numbers are so accurate that they show up at the home sale. So yeah, so circle prospecting, everything that you named expires for sure. They've already waved their hands and said, "Hey, I'm ready to sell. My home failed to sell. What could you do differently? What is your value proposition?" So I certainly love the
The expired. What makes you stand out from other agents? What do you tell them that you're going to do? What makes them have the trust in you and the faith in you to pick you versus another agent?
Now that is a great question. Okay, so the difference is that we all agree that real estate is very dated, right? It hasn't changed in 75 years. I call it the yellow taxi versus the Uber. And my model is just very progressive, very forward moving in that sellers really do not like the inconvenience of the daily showings, and they don't like the yard sign, in the yard. And they certainly do not like that blue box at their door. So my model is completely different because I give them the convenience of hosting the showings all at one time, and they do not have a blue lockbox at their door. They do not have a sign in their yard. And we really present offers from other realtors, other buyers who are represented by realtors the weekend following my home sale at full market price, if not higher. So I've sold quite a few homes that have driven up the comparables in any particular subdivision. So my model is proven, it's effective, it's tried, and it's true. And when I have a conversations with the sellers, they can hear, and it's very logical to them. The process, they can see this is different. You're saying something different. You're offering something completely different than what everybody else is saying, and that's how I stand out and get the listing.
You get it.
I get the listing, and I haven't had one to not sell. They fail to sell using traditional real estate. They come to me. I use a very progressive, forward-moving type of process to sell their homes, and I have yet to have one that has not sold, and at a minimum, at the highest comp that was already set or higher.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
That's a true story.
I mean, that's kind of unheard of. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
It is. Well, it's that model, and we're going to hear a lot about it in the future. But at the end of the day, it does work, and it is unheard of because otherwise you're just using traditional real estate. And a lot of times that result in chasing the market, right? A lot of sellers, they say what their price is and they want that price, and the market rejects that price. And so in a week, they say, we're going to reduce the price. In another week, we're going to do a price correction, and you're chasing the market, right? And the buyer agents and the buyers, they're seeing your pattern, and you're like your target, like they're waiting on you to see how low you will go. And then they watch it, and then they come in and make even a lower offer, and sellers end up leaving money on the table, using that. But it's unheard of, but I promise you they've all sold.
Oh, I believe you. I can tell you're a very hardworking woman, and you do
Thank
your work.
Yes,
I don't even
honestly.
want to ask this question because your mindset is so positive and you exude such happiness and greatness. But everybody still has some pushback, like you said, from some potential clients when you reach out. What do you do? How do you handle it? And how do you follow up in a mindful way to get people to answer your second call if you don't get that listing appointment in your first phone call to them?
Right. That's a really great question as well. So I am a very persistent type person. So when I reach out to the potential sellers, if I get a no, or if they've relisted or whatever they've done, I always follow up like within a week or 10 days or 2 weeks or so to see just how is it going, because you want to stay top of mind. Right. Mm-hmm. So I make the initial call. We have a conversation. It may lead to an appointment. It may not lead to an appointment, but I'm going to follow up again within a week at best, if not days, because our markets are shifting. This one happened so abruptly to where we are right now. You almost want to stay top of mind almost every other day because if they're going to get off the fence, you want to be that person. But nonetheless, I'm going to call a second time, have another. I'm Gloria. Remember, we talked the other day, you were telling me about your favorite cat that you've been having named Tom, whatever it is. Right? But I'm going to stand out, and then I'm going to follow up with a text. If I see that the home came off the market again, or if I see that it's not looking good or anything. Just basically, hey, I'm here. Remember that with my process, I do XYZ, because in compliance, as long as you're not going out their business that belongs to another agent, you're not in violation. All you're doing is reminding them what services, what value proposition you offer that could be different, that could give them a different result. And that's absolutely, compliant to do that. So bearing that in mind, I just remind them, remember, I do this versus what you're going through right now. We can do things a little differently that could have, a different outcome for you.
That's good. That's a good way to keep them to you in the front of their mind. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, you mentioned in 1 week you got 5 or 6 listing appointments. We all want to know, how many of them did you get?
I got 2 of them. I converted 2 of them. And the reason why is because one thing about this market that we just came out, unfortunately, it flushed out some really, really aspirational sellers in terms of their price.
Yes. Yes.
So I am very confident in the service that I deliver, that if I see that aspirational price is just way out there and very unrealistic, I'm going to say thank you for the opportunity. However, I decline or, would not be, because I know the level of service that I provide, and we don't want that to be in vain, because there is a financial commitment on my part. There are a lot of things that my sellers do not pay for, such as the pictures and different things, my marketing and different things that I do. But it's an investment of at least, $500 or north of that. That's for the smallest $200,000 home, because I'm going to give them the same level of service. So if I get a seller that's just way out there like that, then I decline to take that listing. I just went on a listing appointment, 2 of them last week, and they both were there. The highest sold comp was at 330. And that was when the market was great. And then there's a current home that's on the market now that's active listing. I call that the competition home. And it's the same square footage, the same layout, give or take, right? And at the end of the day, they are at 330. But they've been on the market for 44 days, and that was the other day.
Okay. Which means their house is not worth 330.
No, well, the buyers are rejecting it. The buyers are now rejecting it. They don't have the premium to pay. So they're at 7% interest rate, give or take right now, right? So now the 330 that they were paying this summer, they did not give as much resistance to pay that, because they had extra money, so to speak, at 3% interest rates, give or take, right? But now at 7%, the same house with comps, which means it will appraise for 330. They don't want to pay it, or they can't afford to pay it. So the home affordability has reduced the buyer, demand tremendously, that you just can't afford to take overpriced listings right now.
And it's even more of an important time to be on the listing side of things, because buyers have slowed down, like you said.
That's right.
Either they've missed out on 10 homes that they put offers in all last year.
Yes.
Or the interest rates now have slowed them down.
Yes.
So it's definitely a good time to be prospecting.
And that's what I do. I prospect. I'm using you guys. And at the end of the day, I'm getting those appointments. You have sellers that are really disappointed that they missed that peak. And some of them are really pressed to still sell now. They just have to come to the realization that you're not going to be able to sell at such a price. But if you're willing to take a full market value based on, where we are today, then your home will sell. There's still buyers out there. But the point of the matter is that there are buyers that are still buying. You just have to attract them with such a value proposition for the home itself that they don't reject you out the gate because they feel that you're overpriced.
Price it right and broaden the market versus
that's right.
Out. Yes. All right. So what's your goal for the year?
Well, the year
It's
is almost
almost
over.
over. So what are you gonna make it?
So the goal is to just go out, with a bang. I've doubled down. I am much more intense with my prospecting now. I'm doing things that I did not do before, adding different layers to your point earlier. Like, what are you doing if you're getting a rejection? If the sellers are saying, no, I'm not ready. One thing I've added on is that I have this amazing layered letter or for sale by owner that I send in a FedEx package to the sellers that I've never had to do that before because it's like almost $8 a pop to
Yep.
send it.
I've
So
heard of that.
doing different things to get before them because you do have fewer sellers as well. You still have to flush out those that are really ready to go by pricing it realistically, right?
Mhm.
It's okay to be a little north of where we think you're going to go, but at the end of the day, you just can't be way out there anymore. So my goal for the end of the year is to double down and take some listings through the end of the year that could carry me into the first of the year and to start that year off, better. Hopefully, next year will be a better, a market that is a little bit more balanced.
Hope
Our
so.
interest rates are going to be what they are, but housing is just a mandatory thing that buyers always have to buy. Right.
Mhm.
So we may have fewer buyers, but we'll have serious buyers.
Yeah, no, your forecast sounds good for business for you, and I have nothing but confidence in you succeeding for sure. There's
Thank you.
there are the rumors out there that agents will be lost, newer agents and with the market now, but I don't think that'll be you, and that's great for you and your
Well,
family.
thank you so much for that. And to that point, that is why you really have to double down now and become very, very intense in everything that you could think of to get some listings, right? You have to go ahead and take in consideration all of the objections, holidays, slow market, high interest rates, whatever it may be, and be prepared to let the seller see how the seller that sells today is still going to fare out more with much more than the
Mhm.
seller who sells 3 6 months from now. So if you could show them, take out a piece of paper and show them the numbers that if you sell today, you're going to be much better off than a seller who sells in 3 to 6 months, right?
Absolutely.
So with that being said, so it is going to be far less agents. We had many agents to get in, last year because they said it's easy to be a realtor. I
Yep.
haven't been a realtor very long, but when I did come in, it was a balanced market, right? And then we had the COVID and everything that happened last year and this year. So I've had to, again, come up with different tactics that will flush out real sellers so that so we could get the business, get some
Yeah.
to take care of your family because that's what it's all about.
Exactly, exactly. All right. Well, one last thing, because we are here for newer agents and we want them to do well. What would be your best piece of advice to them if you could give them one thing to help give them the momentum that you have and keep the healthy mindset to get up and keep making those calls even when they're not feeling like
And
it?
that's the perfect thing that you just said to segue into exactly what I would tell that new agent is to keep your head down and do the work. Don't listen to the chatter.
Yep.
Don't listen to the naysayers. I promise you, you stick with a system such as Espresso agents. It's going to give you the data that you need to prospect, to circle prospect, to do your dial or whatever it is that your choice of prospecting is. You'll have that database, the numbers to make those contacts. So you do that consistently. You double down. You do it much more intensely than maybe you've ever done before. And when you look up, you're going to have sell after sell after sell because while everybody else was listening and they became afraid and they became
Mhm.
paralyzed, you continue to work, you continue to grind, and you're going to have the business.
Do the work. Keep your head
Do the work.
down, ignore the negativity, and just do the
You
work.
got to. You
I
have
love
to
it.
do that.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, for people that are watching, how can they reach out to you and send you business, some referral business? How can we get a hold of you?
Thank you so much, Noelle. So my name is Gloria Hobson. You could reach me at 470-295-9611. I am in the Atlanta housing market. So Gloria Hobson, 470-295-9611. It's my direct telephone number. My email is 72sold@atlantagA@gmail.com. Again, 72sold@atlantagA@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on and providing so much awesome information and energy.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I love you guys to the moon and back and appreciate everything that you do. I really do.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too, Noelle.
Sell some homes.
I will. If I get the listing, I'm selling the home.
No doubt. No doubt about that.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.